All right, next topic's mine. So, this one actually would be funny if it wasn't so sad. So, the Daily Beast is reporting school officials in Piedmont, California put plans in place to have a quote, support circle for white students. Counseling sessions in the wake of the Derek Chauvin verdict. Superintendent Cheryl Wozniak said it was to discuss how the trial, verdict, and experience related to the George Floyd murder were impacting the children. On the surface, that kind of makes sense. You know, you want to do something, it's
Wu-Tang is for
children.
the children. Wu-Tang is for the children.
But reports from the students were that the white students were segregated and seemingly treated as though they were somehow the victim. They were victimized. It should be noted that there were also support circles offered for Black and BIPOC children. BIPOC is Black and Indigenous people of color. So my question to you guys is, regardless of skin color, and this isn't directly related to the article, but regardless of skin color, children are children. They may or may not fully understand everything that's going on in these issues, and all they see on TV can be really, really divisive. So the question is this: are these segregated support circles for any of the groups good or bad? And outside of this dumbass school district attempt, do white children need support counseling to deal with issues of race? And I'm going to start with Johnny, actually.
I think the issue for me was I'm glad you clarified that there were Black student support groups and BIPOC kids and stuff. Because I was gonna say, why just white students? But the issue for me really was segregating the students. If it's an issue of race, why are we not talking about it with the different races? Like, why are we not with the white children talking about it and getting their perspectives, them hearing our perspective? That's all organic, natural communication that's supposed to be had. In this climate, I think that it seems like people keep thinking segregating things, or I think last week, Neil, you had something similar where they said teaching Black history would be, yeah, it was literally last
Would
week,
be
would be
divisive. Yeah.
divisive. So they keep doing this weird divisive thing to us. I don't know, and it's happening young, like it's happening in schools and things like that. So I think that white kids. I'm
Yeah.
not white. I don't know.
I
Do
mean,
they
but
deserve? I feel like anybody deserves counseling. I feel like anybody deserves counseling, but when it comes to race,
I mean,
they're not the
so
oppressed.
if you're segregating, say for example, Black students, and you say, hey, we have these Black support circles because George Floyd, his neck. You watch this, and we want to talk to this group of people, Black children or BIPOC children. Then you have those groups. I mean, they probably did need some sort of counseling or discussions. The question: do white people need this? Do white children need the same thing? Specifically, children. I want to reiterate: children
Do they
need the
need the
same.
same thing? They deserve. They can have it. I feel like anybody deserves it if they need it. If they, I don't know though. The reason I think I don't know that they need it is because I don't know necessarily what they're suffering from. But that could just be my own ignorance. I just don't necessarily know why they would.
That's
That's a
that's a
fair
I don't
question.
that's a
know why.
valid point. That's a
Yep.
valid point. And I'm with
Lizzie,
you,
go ahead.
Gianni. If a child feels that they need, regardless of color, and this is a problem with the adults. The adults are the ones who made this situation what it is. It's a poor choice of words. It's bad semantics, and it just it adds a race layer to an issue where it need not be.
Hmm.
If there are white kids in this particular school who feel that they need some type of counseling, someone to talk to try to work out the issues that have to deal
Make it
with
available.
race, by all means, make it available. And I say that not just, because they might be feeling white guilt. No, they might be struggling with, again, like a lot of us did, what they saw on TV with George Floyd. They might be struggling with what they have been taught by their racist parents versus what they feel about race and social justice or social injustice, if you
That's
will.
true.
And so if they feel like they need, to talk to someone to work out what's going on in the world, or if they have questions, yeah, of course, offer them counseling. I just don't think it should have been presented, white kids, this counseling is for you. Just make the counseling available to everybody. That's how you phrase. Those are the words, the language that you use.
So
If there are students who feel they need to talk to someone to deal with the trauma that we have seen over the past year regarding race relations, regarding social injustice, we have made counselors available for you. No race was indicated in that statement. That's how you present that.
so
Not
should the
just, oh,
black and the BIPOC social support circles be eliminated as well?
no, no, not at all.
So
No.
so
What do you mean? Specific?
no, so I mean, so if we're saying don't do the white support circles, are we also saying don't do the black and the BIPOC
What do you mean
support
what do
circles?
you mean by support circles? Like a support circle could be the
Oh,
Black
those were
Student
their
Alliance.
words. I quoted that one.
Like a
So
little counseling thing.
I don't know what that means. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
the, the
yeah.
BSA, yeah, there needs to be BSAs on predominantly white campuses. Absolutely. BSA meaning Black Student Alliance. Even though some of those are a little shady, but we're not going to get into that. However, I don't think we need to be advertising, if you will, race specific for children. Like you said, we're talking about children. I don't think we need to be advertising for children race specific counseling. Not in a
Yes.
school. We're talking about in a school.
Mhm.
You go outside of the school, you do whatever you want to do. But in a school where there are state rules, where there are regulations, where there is a board of education, if you will, that's supposed to protect everyone, I don't think we need to be advertising, race related counseling.
Yeah, Robbie.
Like that's a little weird.
That is very weird.
I'm feeling what you're saying.
Yeah. So, Neo, as far as, do they deserve a group? Well, white kids need help too. Especially, espe- especially if they, as Liz was alluding to, if they are introduced to any racist ideology by their parents, well, they really are in need of help. And from reading your article, I think that the school was trying to target children who felt victimized by the Chauvin verdict, who felt like they lost something. So I do see the value in having segregated groups in order to create a safe space for people initially. And I think that that might have been the way to kind of get the conversation going, but it's a way to also separate these kids. It made me kind of think of The Simpsons when Homer gets caught by the boat giveaway raffle by the police, where it's like, hey, you know what? I'm here for my boat, and they're like, hey, you've got all these unpaid parking tickets. So, have the sign up sheet for these kids that say, hey, you know what? I feel like I was really victimized by the Chauvin verdict. Okay, well, you do need people to talk to, and here's why. Let's start with having the conversation and have these people open up, talk about their feelings, and then you have to dismantle it. But you have to have that initial conversation first. Do I think that as a long-term solution, having segregated groups to talk about the same issues, right? Absolutely not. It's after the initial shock, after you've worked through some of the really bad shit, then, introduce the group. But there are some people who are ready to have these conversations with anyone. So I think that it's important to have all of these groups being represented, being supported, because there are people who can talk about issues openly, regardless of who's in the room. And there are people who might feel fear of reprisal, that might feel like they're going against their conditioning, their family's values. And that needs to be reflected as part of an ongoing rehabilitation, if you will. But yeah, get everybody together at the table in order to have these conversations, because that's the best way to learn.
Yeah.
But Rob, think about the way you phrased that. You said, do you feel victimized? as a result of, what happened with George Floyd.
And they
George Floyd.
legitimately might be.
Never once did you mention race in that. Like, there's a way that you can promote this to get people the help that they need without mentioning race, without making it race exclusive. And I think that's where the error occurred.
Yeah, I think Gianni's point was exceptionally valid, where you need to be able to have a conversation with each other. If you're in these segregated groups and you're talking about, you have a bunch of white kids together talking about, oh, I felt horrible, and they get into like, you know, you know, complaining about Chauvin, and they start to have some solidarity about Chauvin, it divides them. Then if you do the same thing with black children and you start talking about, hey, George Floyd, and then they start to have these bad feelings or these feelings, and they're getting that information out, and the white kids are not hearing this or experiencing that, then they become divided, and they become on different pages. You know what I'm saying? They're not reading from the same book anymore. So
Right.
they're reading. They're in a book club reading from two different books, and they're like, okay. When they get back together, they're like, oh no, and then they start to have these separate groups within the school, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's the wrong way to do it. It should always be a together thing, as far as I'm concerned. It should always be a together thing. Um, and do white kids need help? They need help. I mean, they're dealing with. There's a lot of shit going on right now. There's a lot of shit to deal with, and children are struggling to unpack all of this. White kids, brown kids, yellow kids, whatever. It's not even about race. It's just they're kids.
They're kids.
Yeah.
It's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to deal with, and this is where we're able to, figure things out. And you do it together. You got to do it together. So
I just think we need to kind of, again, there's a difference, I think, between promoting counseling and promoting groups. And
yes,
I don't think that we should tell a group that is specific towards Native Americans that they need to include everybody else in their group.
right.
That if it's a group that's specific towards Black folks or Jewish kids, that they need to include everybody in their group. I think that should be allowed. But as we are promoting helping people, then yeah, there should be no color. There should be no emphasis in how you are trying to promote yourself to help people on what race you have to be
Yeah.
to get this type of
A school supported group shouldn't happen like that. I mean, like I say, if it's individuals creating their own groups, sure. If children get together and they want to create their own groups, let them do that. But school supported, no way. All right, Olivia, they should not be segregated by race. Jackson Robinson, the way it was worded, it's as if white children were traumatized because Chauvin was convicted. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
The way it was worded. That's the way they put it out there, actually.
Yeah.
And let's see, Mike Winter had a couple of points. He says it's illegal, by the way. And then he said, final point on this issue: Wilson, a DC public school, addressed this problem over 30 years ago by talking about race openly. Totally agree, and I recall those. Let's see. You do not need to separate them by race to create a safe space. You need a good facilitator, be a good teacher and facilitator.
Yeah. That's true.
And then Jeanette Brown said, he said Jeanette Brown and I had the same 30 plus years training. So, sounds like, so what are we calling this one? Truth, Lies, or Shenanigans? I'm calling this definitely Shenanigans. And Truth.
Shenanigans.
I'm giving it Truth.
Shenanigans. It's adults behaving badly again. It's adults behaving badly again.
All right, that concludes our topics for today.
Shenanigans.
Those are